At the time, there were rumors that New Japan Pro Wrestling wanted to bring you in and create the Big Van Vader character around you. And instead, they eventually went with Leon White, who went on to become famous using the name. What was the story there? How close was that happening that you were going to go to Japan?
Well, Vader didn't become as famous as Ultimate Warrior, so I was negotiating. I went to Fritz to ask if I could get more money. The money was decent enough. I had a nice apartment. I was able to do what I wanted to do. I had a fairly new car. I liked living in Texas. I liked the gym that I frequented. I liked the people that I'd become friends with. But there just came a time where I wanted to get a little bit more money, more of a guarantee, instead of a hit-and-miss thing. And I went to Fritz about it, and he said no. And that coincided with the time that George Scott, a lot of people don't know this story, but George Scott came down there to take over the book after leaving Vince, helping Vince get WrestleManias off the ground. He came down to do a favor for Jack Fritz to take over the book for a while. Tony Atlas came down. That's when George Wells came down. And I found out through the Sportatorium personnel that George Scott was on the phone talking a lot about a guy down here that had incredible potential. That kid turned out to be me. All that happened at the same time. George Scott came in. I was working to go to Japan. And I went to Fritz to see about more money. Fritz said he wasn't going to give me any more money. And as I was getting ready to do the thing with Japan, the people in New York got curious enough to pick up the phone and call me. And I went to the Waco show. They said, show up with your gear bag down there. And we'd been going to Waco since I'd been there in WCCW. So, you know, they expected they brought WWF, the big show, came to town. Well, I ended up getting just as big as pop of whoever the main event was because all these people knew me, and they were endeared, you know, to the Ultimate Warrior character. And from that, they asked me, I think a couple days later, to go to Indianapolis. They were doing a television taping, and I worked a dark match with Jose Rivera, I think maybe is the name. I don't know. But then it just took off. It took off where they kept me on the back burner, kept me in the sea towns, and just kept testing me to see what I was made of and how the character would work. You know, I don't even think so much the character, just my personality and everything, being in the ring, how people liked my look and everything else like that.
So this is George Scott who made the initial connection between you and WWF?
Yeah. I mean, he didn't call me and say hook up with them, but I ended up through him. I found out. I mean, George Scott never even told me that he was talking to them. I found out from Bronco Lubick. You know, an old referee. He's probably not even alive anymore. He told me.